Happy Monday, everyone. This is Heather filling in for Jorge this week. He is in China for a World Urban Network meeting. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I, along with several of my friends and colleagues here at the Y, volunteered this past Saturday for the Queen Bee Marathon. We were course monitors cheering on all of the runners and walkers of the half marathon. It was a chilly morning, but we all had a wonderful time. And if anyone is interested in the Women's ERG group, please notify myself, Kelly Knapp, Meredith Hankenburns. There's several others who are also on the committee, and we would love for you to join us. Now we have Carrie King presenting on yoga in our youth development programs.
As you saw from some of the previous data presented, the children of Cincinnati, many of whom are living in poverty, are also dealing with unhealthy living situations, drug abuse, physical abuse, neglect, their own personal mental illness. One of the ways that we are attempting to combat this here at the YMCA is introducing mindfulness and yoga to reduce challenging behaviors that may result from those living situations. So what do those challenging behaviors look like? Well, we all know what that looks like. Many of our front desk staff have seen it, our teachers have seen it, our custodial staff has seen it. We're seeing hitting, we're seeing kicking, spitting, fighting, inappropriate language. Children tend to adapt to their surroundings. They often mimic what they're seeing at home or what is happening directly to them. So in some of our programs at Child Development Services, we're utilizing a form called the Behavior Incident Reporting System to document these behaviors so we can watch for an increase or decrease in these behaviors, especially pre and post the introduction of yoga. What we are seeing is that the introduction to mindfulness and to yoga are assisting us in reducing those maladaptive behaviors. With the implementation of the Behavior Incident Reporting System, we now have the ability to collect some data to identify how impactful these maladaptive behaviors are on our classrooms. We know that the YMCA is committed to social emotional growth of our youth members, and so this project incorporated yoga to assist our children in readiness for those classrooms. We were able to collect the data regarding pre the introduction to yoga and mindfulness and post. After integrating yoga and mindfulness into our programmatic features, the frequency of maladaptive behaviors and the number of behavior incident reports decreased dramatically. And what we were seeing was significant social emotional growth taking place. While most children may have those moments where they're hitting, kicking, or spitting, we were able to use the following techniques to assist them. All right, so here are 3 techniques that you can use anywhere, anytime within your facility, with kids and adults alike. The first being the rainbow breath. So wherever you are right now, sit down, plant your feet firmly on the ground with your arms hanging at your sides. And when you take a deep breath in, I want you to raise your arms above your head, and then when you exhale, slowly return them down by your side. So here we go. First, deep breath in through your nose. 1, 2, 3. And now exhale through your nose and return your arms to your side. 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and do that again. Inhale, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, arms above your head, and exhale. and return your arms to your side. So that's rainbow breath. Rainbow breath is nice and easy. Gets a little bit of movement on top of the deep breathing. The next one, balloon breath, which is absolutely my favorite. And we see that this breath really has an impact on kids when they're in a moment that they can't calm themselves down from, whatever that moment may have been from. Balloon breath, what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in through your nose, and we're going to inhale as much air as we possibly can, filling up your lung capacity. And right when you think you can't take any more air in, you take one final little sip in like you're filling up that balloon. And we're going to exhale, and it's going to sound just like you're releasing air from a balloon. Are you ready? So inhale in through your nose, fill up all of your lung capacity. And we're going to take a deep breath out, and it's going to go out through our mouth, and it's going to sound a little something like this. That's balloon breath. So let's do it again. In through your nose, take a deep breath in, fill up all of your lung capacity, and on your exhale, it's going to go out through your mouth, and you're going to vibrate your lips, and it's going to sound like a balloon. Inhale and exhale. What we see is that this one by far works the best. The fact that you're making that silly noise, there's a lot of body movement involved in this particular breathing. Plus, once the laughter starts after you get to the end of that, which I'm sure many of you are already laughing, especially if you're listening to this huddle as a group, once the kids start laughing, you've got them. They've changed their mindset. There's been a shift. And so once you can get them to do that, you've got it. You have the ability then to potentially switch gears and talk about what happened or move on, whatever need take place. Balloon breath is always key. That is the best tool in your toolbox. The last one we find really works with those individuals who are not willing to participate in balloon breath, and you'll identify some of those kids, especially if you're a teacher or kids club, etc. But what you'll see is that some kids hold their stress like we do in our shoulders and our neck. And so this shoulder roll breath, really what we're doing is if you put your arms down at your side and you sit straight up, let's inhale, and we're going to inhale and roll our shoulders at the same time back. So inhale and roll your shoulders back. And once you get from top to bottom, now we're going to exhale, and you're going to exhale and roll your shoulders forward. So inhale, roll your shoulders back. Exhale, roll your shoulders forward. And what we see, especially with some of those older children, is that when we're doing these shoulder roll breaths, it has more impact because they don't really care about the laughter or the funny noise that it makes when you do balloon breath. But really that release of tension in their shoulders and neck has a huge impact. So these are 3 breaths that are portable. They're easy to use. It is a tool that you can carry with you anywhere and do to assist kids and adults alike in helping calm or reduce some of that stress. These last 2 slides are just simply a review of the literature we use to collect and gather information about the effectiveness of yoga and mindfulness in our classes. What we're seeing really is that it is very important to introduce that mindfulness, to slow ourselves down, to slow our kids down, and be in that moment, assisting them to be in that moment. If you have any questions, or you'd like us to provide you with information about the behavior incident reporting system, or information about how we've implemented yoga in our child development services programs, please don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me an email. We'd be happy to help any way we can. Thanks so much, and stay mindful.
Good Monday morning. I trust you all had a great weekend. Michael and I are in Shanghai, and it is way too early in the morning for me to be doing this video. But I couldn't sleep, and like many of us, we're all jet lagged. And what jet lag means is because we've traveled 7,000 miles, our internal clocks have now reset themselves, and so I was up very early in the morning because I could not sleep. And I am sure that sometime throughout the day I'm going to feel fatigued. I'm going to have a hard time concentrating, and I may even feel like I needed to go and take a nap. I know my appetite is also not exactly where it needs to be. And as I was thinking about this idea of being jet lagged, I couldn't help but draw a parallel to the way many of us feel every single day, the way we walk around our own experiences and we feel jet lag for other reasons. Maybe we lost a loved one, or we had a diagnosis that we're having a hard time dealing with, or it's job related things. Maybe we're stressed out because the budgets are due, or maybe it's a relationship that has gone south on us. Either way, no matter whether you're traveling 7,000 miles or you're dealing with everyday life, you can't ignore jet lag. It's around you, it consumes you, you think about it, you're having a hard time. But unlike jet lag, the kind that I have, eventually it'll go away. I'll get a full night's sleep and my clock will reset and everything will be back to normal. Many of us struggle with this other type of jet lag that never really goes away. And so we walk through life feeling like I'm just never at rest, never feeling like I'm catching up. And this isn't an unusual thing for us in the modern world. In fact, Jesus brought this very issue up when he was talking to his friends. Now, he didn't talk about jet lag. He was, in fact, having a conversation with some friends who had come to see him because one of his closest friends had been thrown in jail, and it looked like he was not going to make it out. He was going to die. And his friend John sent some of their co-friends to see Jesus and say, hey, listen, I'm having a bad time right now. Is this the cause I'm supposed to be giving my life for? And Jesus responds by giving him an answer. But I think in that context, Jesus noticed that his friends were stressed, that maybe they were also having some difficult time. They may not have been in jail, but their life was upside down. And he shared with them these words. He said, if you are overburdened and if you are stressed, why don't you lean in on me? Why don't you let me take the burden? And in fact, he uses the illustration of he says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, we don't use the word yoke in our culture, but the imagery was perfect. A yoke is that maybe large wooden bar that sits between two animals that may be pulling a plow. And what Jesus is saying to his friends is, listen, I am at this point stronger than you, and if you cast your yoke with me, if you kind of become part of my yoke, my strength will be strong enough to help both and to carry the weight that you have. And what's so beautiful is that, again, they understood exactly what that means. You see, in those days, they would train a weaker oxen by putting them in yoke with a stronger oxen. And the idea here is that they would learn to carry the weight eventually. You didn't want to put a weaker oxen in a situation where they would be carrying too much and eventually might break them. And what Jesus says to his friends is, listen, why don't you lean in on me and I will carry some of that load. And not only that, if I take on that load, I'm not going to give it back. I'm going to keep it. And I think we have opportunities to do that at the YMCA. We have opportunities to say to friends and to members and to partners that say, listen, I know times are tough, but if you come and be part of our cause, we'll connect you with somebody who can lighten your load. And this was the message that I think Jesus spent a lot of time visiting with his friends, and I think it's what inspired George Williams, the founder of the YMCA so many years ago, to create this environment where we can lean in on each other. And this is critical for us as human beings. It's why we sing songs about this. Lean on me, you are the wind beneath my wings, and on, this idea that I can find somebody that can help lighten my load. So this week, let's think about opportunities to be a load-bearing person for somebody else, somebody that can trust and lean in on us. Also, let's if we ourselves are having a tough time right now, let's find individuals that can help us, that can help lighten our load. I hope you have individuals in your life that can help with that. Or maybe you just need to spend time with God and say, listen, I can't carry this load I'm carrying right now. But also let's work on creating environments where people that come into our YMCAs find a place where they can meet a friend who can take on some of their burden and maybe get to a point where they are strong enough that one day they can do the same for somebody else. It's what we do at the YMCA as we create spaces where individuals can lean in and grow together. It's why we do not only achievement, but relationship and belonging. The relationship and belonging piece of our work is this idea of sharing a burden or being in relationship with somebody that can help lighten my load. Let me pray for us. God, thank you so much for the opportunity that you give us to be part of something bigger than ourselves. I just pray that you give us wisdom as we help individuals who are walking through life jet-lagged for one reason or another. Help us, if we ourselves are in that space, help us find individuals that we can lean in on. Also, help us be a help to a friend, an individual that might need some support right now. And then finally, help us create spaces at the YMCA where individuals can lean in on each other and not just find achievement, but relationship and belonging as we help lighten each other's load. Thank you for those that serve with us in Southern Ohio, Northern Kentucky, around the country, and around the world in the organization we call the YMCA. Amen. Thanks, everybody.